everyone, I'm just right now editing the video that you are about to watch, and I wanted to mention, first and foremost, this is a video that includes a lot of spoilers in it. So, in order to make sure that I do not spoil you, either accidentally or if you don't want to be, I am going to do a precautionary measure furthermore than what I mentioned in my video. I'm going to add a title page before every spoiler that I talk about, so you will have 5 seconds to mute the video, and I will make sure that you have the most amount of time possible in order to prepare yourself for being spoiled, just in case you want to watch this video but you haven't read all of them. So, with that being said, just mute your video if I reach a point where you haven't read that book, unless you want to be spoiled, I suppose. So, yes, again, this is full of spoilers. If you are someone who's very paranoid about being spoiled, I would recommend not watching this unless you have read every single book, which I will list in the down bar below. So yeah, sorry for the long intro, I just wanted to clear things up because I do not want to be the culprit of someone who has been spoiling people. So, heads up, just make sure that you mute as well as you can, or skip, or do whatever you need to do. This video was still requested even though I had mentioned it has spoilers, so I'm posting it, and I think I've talked enough about this now. So, here we go, real video starting now. It is 11:30 at night, and instead of writing my paper for German, I figured I would film a video. But let me mention something first. I have my lights on, and my phone still cracks, so whenever I move, we get some weird glare going on, so I'll try and keep my hands to myself, but that may or may not end up being possible. So anyway, I'm going to talk about books that I've been spoiled on tonight. So this will have spoilers in it, obviously. I think this wouldn't be a very good video if I didn't mention what I was spoiled on. This would be a really good time to mention, please do not mention spoilers in the comments. You can totally tell me, like, oh, I was spoiled on this also, but if someone complains about this being like, oh, I was gonna read the comments, but then I saw that that one person died, that would be really unfortunate. So, just pointing it out, keep everyone safe. You wouldn't want to be spoiled, so don't spoil anyone else. Good standard to live by. I remember I was reading this in the very beginning, and I was like, is Heathcliff white or black? Because I was really confused. And so I googled it, and then the wonderful Spark Notes came up, and it was like, Heathcliff, blah, 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 and the book concludes with his death. Thank you for that. So now I know how this ends, and I'm only like 50 pages into this, so that really just didn't make me want to read it, because I was like, ugh. Nevertheless, I want to finish this, even though I know how it ends. Spark Notes. I just wanted to know if he was white. I knew that Gatsby died. I had no clue who told me or what website I stumbled upon to find that out on, but I went into this knowing that would happen. But then, I read this during the 2013 Booktubeathon, and then, funny story, this year we read it in English class, and my English teacher was just like nonchalantly speaking about it, and she was like, yeah, so whenever Gatsby dies, and like half the class collectively is like, because we'd only been like halfway through it at that point, and everyone was so angry because she was like, I thought you guys knew, and we didn't, except me because I had already read it, but still, and I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah. My friend tried to get me to read the Infernal Devices series a very long time ago, and I remember reading like 50 pages of Clockwork Angel, then being like, I don't like this, so I gave it back. So whenever this came out at the beginning of 2013, my friend, that same friend, came up to me and was like, oh my god, the main character died, and I'm not on my, and he was like, and she was freaking out to me about Will dying, and so the whole series I knew, and, She never told me how, though, and so I would always tell people, yeah, I know how this ends, and they're all like, but it's not how you would expect, and so that kind of spoiled the last half for me, so it's like, obviously, it won't be in battle or anything. Either way, I read the end of this. I still cried a little bit, even though I was totally expecting it, and yeah. Lesson learned. Never tell someone you don't want to read a book, because you might read it later on, enjoy it, and then be spoiled. The next book is probably the hugest one on this list that it's lucky if I go for a whole day without seeing a spoiler on this, and that's not even a joke. It is the Harry Potter series as a whole. I'm only on book 4 of this series. I'm in the middle of, I don't even know what it's called, The Goblet of Fire. I can probably give you a detailed account of what happens during the rest of the series. I know what couples go canon. I know every single person who dies. Thanks to some choice classmates I have, I know who kills who. So, I've seen gift sets on Tumblr of specific characters dying. Dobby. That's partially the reason why I don't want to read Harry Potter. Or not that I don't want to read it, but I'm kind of like slowly reading it, is because I already know how this is going to end up, and I'm just really bored with how we're getting there. So, yeah, that's kind of why I'm going slow, but I do want to finish it. I want to see how everything goes down in the context, but pretty much anything you could spoil about Harry Potter, I have been spoiled on. The next one is actually a series, and it's so pathetic I want to cry, but I've been spoiled on 2 out of the 3 Legend books. First book, I remember I was Googling a character. Which one was it? Thomas. I knew it was something like Tias or Thomas. The guy that's like her brother's, June's brother's best friend. I had no clue how old he was. I guess I missed that detail, but I had Googled like, how old is this dude? And then instead of seeing his age, I saw he was the one that killed the brother. And so I was like, wow, who would have known? It's really hard to do a sarcastic voice when your throat is like giving out. So I was spoiled on this one, and that probably contributed to why I only gave this 4 stars. I was so angry, I was like about to cry. I was like, why did I just Google that? And then for Champion, on the day it came out, I was on Tumblr, just like tumbling like the normal. And someone had posted the last 2 lines of the book. And it's like a very subtle spoiler, but as soon as I saw it, I knew. In case you're someone who has not read Champion and you're still watching this, it ends so that the last lines are like, my name is June, my name is Day. So that completely obviously hints to the fact that they would have somehow forgotten each other's names. So the whole book I was like, something's gonna happen where he doesn't remember her. Then I started connecting. I was like, he has brain troubles. Something about his brain is gonna make him forget her. So it was not someone coming out and saying he has memory loss. It was someone like blatantly posting that quote where I was able to just, it wasn't a direct spoiler, but I totally got it, and I was so angry. I knew from the beginning that Prim was going to die, and I was actually told this before I started the series, and so the whole series I was waiting for it, like whenever the Hunger Games, I first read that, it was like, Primrose Everdeen, and I was like, oh, okay, she dies, and Katniss, yeah, whatever. But then it didn't happen. Then I read Catching Fire, and I was waiting, and like the Jabberjays, I was like, oh, she's gone. Then she wasn't, and I was like, okay, so we're getting around to Mockingjay, and I'm like 50 pages away from the end, and I'm like, Prim, did someone lie to me? And then the thing happened. And then, yeah, so I was anticipating it the whole series, and didn't take away from what I thought of. I have a hair in my eye. it did not take away from my rating of this book. A lot of people don't like this book, which I didn't know until I joined BookTube, because I loved this book. I'm just realizing now that pretty much everything I've seen is from Tumblr, and that's how I got spoiled on this. I don't remember the exact post. I think it was just a collection of different posts where it hinted at, it was like joking about Jason and Clare being brother and sister, and so I was reading this whole thing like knowing, and I was just catching up on the foreshadowing, and I was like, I know they're brother and sister. So I had been spoiled on this, but thankfully not for City of Glass. So I knew that they were brother and sister. I didn't know how that was going to work out, and I didn't know how that would be resolved or if they actually were or not. But going into this, I was still able to be like, ew, at the very beginning. The next series / books is Percy Jackson books. Not so much this one, but Mark of Athena. I personally haven't even read the other Percy Jackson series. I'm only on book 3 of the original series. But I've been semi-spoiled on how this one ends, like with the whole Luke thing. And then especially for the Heroes of Olympus, I know what goes down in Mark of Athena. And I don't know how, like, I honestly don't really care that I'm spoiled on that one, because it's like, it's more of a cliffhanger than it is a spoiler. Like, someone told me the cliffhanger of a book, and it's gonna get resolved. So, I don't know. I just don't care that much. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that Percy Jackson I have gotten the dibs on. Being spoiled on this made me especially angry because it wasn't on the internet. I had someone walk up to me, come to my face, and say, Joey dies. And I was so mad, I was about to knife this kid. I thought he was joking, and then he was like, no, I'm not joking. And then after that, I was like, ready to kill someone. I was just, oh, it still makes me mad to think about it, because that book would have had so much more of a shock factor, because it comes out of nowhere. And so, since I was told to my face by a friend, it was just horrible. And I was like, why are you gonna be like that? So now I've got a horribly large pile of books that I've been spoiled on, and there's probably gonna be many more. As long as I use Tumblr, I'm always gonna be spoiled. It's just the way it is. The sacrifices that I make for humor. You've probably noticed that my voice is on not very well of a path. It's like kind of sounding like a man, kind of sounding like an amphibian. So I'm gonna go. It's like, what time is it now? Thank you for watching. Hopefully my next video will be during the daylight when I'm not procrastinating. Until then, pray for my throat. I think I'm dying at this point. Now that my voice is like done and cracking, I think we should get this out of the way. So one last time, goodbye. Yeah.